For today's cup of coffee, youngest kid and I have had issues as far as even the backdrop. He's upset with me because that the seam, there's a reason for the seam. He wants it to be symmetrical. I wanted it to be asymmetrical.
It's bugging the hell out of me. You put it back.
If you'd left it alone, I had it the way that I wanted it, and you messed with it. You wanted to mess with it.
I didn't want the same show.
That's because we don't have winter themes, because I loathe winter. And we've got cold weather coming in with the possibility of some mixed, snow and rain and just ick.
I hate rain, and I hate the gray weather.
Yeah, it wipes me out.
But snow, I can deal with the snow to an extent.
I don't drive in it. I just want to hibernate until it's over. So that sort of helped a new train of thought on some of these things. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be discussing today Project Iceworm.
Okay. What is that?
We're going to find out. And this comes from Wikipedia. You
couldn't give us cliff notes on it?
Why would I give you cliff notes? It is a cliff note. These whole videos are cliff notes because some of this stuff you could go into for hours. But no, there was no point in that.
And we are also accompanied by Snuffy Boy, of which we tried to remove.
Snuffy Boy's right there by my ear.
Anybody want him?
No, don't give him away. My goodness, they'll sit there and go, he's defective. That's why we have him. Anyhow, Project Iceworm was a top secret United States Army program of the Cold War. Cold War, Iceworm. Anyhow. Which aimed to build...
cheesy fucking dad joke.
It was a dad joke. Which aimed to build a network of mobile nuclear missile launch sites under the Greenland ice sheet. The ultimate objective of placing medium-range missiles under the ice, close enough to strike targets within the Soviet Union, was kept secret from the government of Denmark. To study the feasibility of working under the ice, a highly publicized cover project known as Camp Century was launched in 1960. Unstable ice conditions within the ice sheet caused the project to be canceled in 1966. Maybe. Mm-hmm. It says details of the missile base project were secret for decades, but first came to light in January of 1995 during an inquiry by the Danish Foreign Policy Institute into the history of the use and storage of nuclear weapons in Greenland. The inquiry was ordered by the Parliament of Denmark following the release of previously classified information about the 1968 Thule Air Base B-52 crash that contradicted previous assertions by the government of Denmark. To test the feasibility of construction techniques, a project called Camp Century was started by the U.S. military, located at an elevation of 660 feet. They should have added another 6 in there.
That's
6,600 feet. My bad.
That's close.
It's there you go with the dyslexia going on there.
But then that would have been 4 6s,
Well, anyhow, in northwestern Greenland, 150 miles from the American Thule Air Base, the radar in the air base at Thule had already been in active use since 1951. Camp Century was described at the time as a demonstration of affordable ice cap military outpost. The secret Project Iceworm was to be a system of tunnels 2,500 miles in length. The zeros are messing with me tonight. Used to deploy up to 600 nuclear missiles that would be able to reach the Soviet Union in case of nuclear war. Wonder how many times do you need to blow up the Earth? It seems like one would be enough.
People do that multiple times.
The missile locations would be under the cover of Greenland's ice sheet, and were
Let's go
supposed
blow up some dirt.
really, and were supposed to be periodically changed. While Project Iceworm was secret, plans for Camp Century were discussed with and approved by Denmark. The facility, including its nuclear power plant, was profiled in the Saturday Evening Post magazine in 1960. The official purpose of Camp Century was explained by the United States Department of Defense to Danish officials in 1960, was to test various construction techniques under Arctic conditions, explore practical problems with a semi-mobile nuclear reactor, as well as supporting scientific experiments on the ice cap. A total of 21 trenches were cut and covered with arched roofs, within which prefabricated buildings were erected. With a total length of 1.9 miles, these tunnels were also contained a hospital, a shop, a theater, and a church.
Okay.
So it's a tiny town under the ice, which is for those of us that have some claustrophobia, that's a horrific thought.
Yeah, that's a little spooky.
Yeah.
What if it melts?
Right. The total number of inhabitants was around 200.
Dear God.
From 1960 until 1963, the electricity supply was provided by means of the world's first mobile/portable nuclear reactor, designed
Wonderful.
PM-2A and designed by Alco for the U.S. Army.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, which death do you want? Or all of them at once?
I'd rather be frozen.
I don't think any of them is a good outcome. I really don't.
I don't know. They'll dethaw my ass like the cavemen eventually.
Yeah, really. Water was supplied by melting glaciers and tested to determine whether germs such as the plague were present.
Oh, that's all.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah. Which type of plague of which there are many?
Right. That's true.
Why aren't they specific on that?
Which
one of them?
It was a matter. Yes, it's exactly right. Within 3 years after it was excavated, ice core samples taken by geologists working at Camp Century demonstrated that the glacier was moving much faster than anticipated and would destroy the tunnels and planned launch stations in about 2 years. The facility was evacuated in 1965 and the nuclear generator removed, supposedly. Project Iceworm was canceled and Camp Century closed in 1966. Supposedly.
You're moving so much, you're bouncing him.
That's all right. Well, yeah. The project generated valuable scientific information and provided scientists with some of the first ice cores still being used by climatologists today. Yeah, we went through that whole thing. We're going to be frozen to death. We're going to have a new ice age. Then it was like, oh, we got the global warming. Now it's like, oh, they've given up on specific, which they're like with climate change. Well, hell, it changes all the time. And that's where you go into like the solar cycles and stuff like that. Tony Heller has, and thank you, Blue, for letting me know about Tony Heller. The man has some sense as opposed to the people that don't. And that he doesn't have any kind of dollar amount attached to his information.
And what was his name again?
Tony Heller.
Okay.
Heller. So he's pretty cool. You ought to watch his channel sometime.
Smells like bullshit. Okay.
No, he's actually a good guy. And according to the documents published by Denmark in 1997, the U.S. Army's Iceworm missile network was outlined in a 1960 Army report titled Strategic Value of the Greenland Ice Cap. If fully implemented, the project would cover an area of 52,000 square miles, roughly 3 times the size of Denmark. The launch complex floors would be 28 feet below the surface. That's scary. With the missile launchers even deeper, and clusters of missile launch centers would be spaced 4 miles apart. New tunnels were to be dug every year so that after 5 years there would be thousands of firing positions, among which the several hundred missiles could be rotated. The U.S. Army intended to deploy a shortened 2-stage version of the U.S. Air Force's Minuteman missile, a variant the Army proposed calling the Iceman.
Okay.
Well, that I don't know. See, it's the same people naming this stuff over again, isn't it?
I think so.
I don't know. Although the Greenland ice cap appears on its surface to be hard and immobile, snow and ice are viscoelastic materials which slowly deform over time, depending on temperature and density. Despite its seeming stability, the ice cap is in constant, slow movement, spreading toward or outward from the center. This spreading movement over the course of a year causes tunnels and trenches to narrow as their walls deform and bulge, eventually leading to a collapse of the ceiling. Well, anybody who's ever made a snow fort kind of figured that out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy there.
Just a little bit.
By mid-1962, the ceiling of the reactor room within Camp Century had dropped and had to be lifted 5 feet.
No shit.
The reactor room.
Yeah, that's pretty terrifying.
Who decided to do
Dumbasses.
this? I mean, honestly.
Dumbasses.
During a planned reactor shutdown for maintenance in late July 1963, the Army decided to operate Camp Century as a summer-only camp and did not reactivate the PM/2A reactor. The camp resumed operations in 1964 using its standby diesel power plant. The portable reactor was removed that summer and the camp was abandoned altogether in 1966. Supposedly. It says when the camp was decommissioned in 1967, its infrastructure and waste were abandoned under the assumption that they would be entombed forever by perpetual snowfall. A 2016 study found that the portion of the ice sheet covering Camp Century will start to
Speak
I'm
English.
upset.
Hello.
will start to melt by 2100 if current trends continue. When the ice melts, the camp's infrastructure, as well as remaining biological, chemical, and radioactive waste, will re-enter the environment and potentially disrupt nearby ecosystems. This includes 200,000 liters of diesel, PCBs, and radioactive waste. So explain this to me. How do people think that stuff just vanishes?
I don't know. Apparently they think it will just, disintegrate after a while, but even the whatever has disintegrated off of it goes somewhere.
Right. You cannot... matter it transmutes. It can be changed in different forms, but it doesn't just go away.
No.
So, you talk about rocket scientists. Sometimes that could be a good thing, and sometimes that may be somebody who helped develop this stuff.
It's rocket scientists that blew themselves up. That's what it is.
Yeah, really. So that's kind of that whole thing. It's like, what the hell were these people thinking?
Right.
But that's just like as far as our land masses, people think that is forever. No, go back and study about Pangea. The stuff moves. We're not even quite sure. We don't know for a fact what is at the core of this planet. There's been several different theories.
Apparently California used to be an island.
It could happen again.
Yeah.
Soon.
Pangea Part 2.
Soon. That would be okay.
It was an island.
That would be okay. Anyhow, like I said, Pangea, even when I was a child, that made sense to me. There is a website.
Looking at you like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
They did. I got rebuked a lot as a kid. All right, there is a website that I will include in the description box. It's called Weapons and Warfare, and they actually have pictures of Project Iceworm, which is pretty cool. They had as far as what was seen on the surface. They had as far as the construction layout for the tunnels.
Do we have a family member who possibly...
Yes, I'm getting to that. Now, we also you were always wanting these teasers for the other things. Let's go to the other as far as Antarctica. Antarctica has been, this is funny, a hot spot for activity. It was so there for a long time.
Isn't it?
And there's been a lot of speculation about Antarctica. And there is currently McMurdo Station in Antarctica, which is a U.S. research and support facility that was established in 1955 at the southernmost point of Antarctica, where bare ground is accessible by ship. It is the largest base in Antarctica by a considerable margin, with around 1,000 personnel, up to 1,250 possible in the summer and 250 in the winter. But yes, we will definitely... Could this have been a continuation of Iceworm?
Possibly.
Could Iceworm have been a distraction technique for this other one? Because it said that was in 1955.
Maybe.
But yes, I have an uncle that was in the Air Force when I was tiny, and he was stationed in Greenland for part of his run, and whatever he worked on was secret. He was supposed to never talk about it. And I did try to call my mother to say, hey, what year did he come out of the Air Force? So if I find out, well, I don't. If she calls me back tonight before I upload this, I will include that in the description box. Wouldn't it be interesting if we had a family member that had worked Project Iceworm?
We could literally, like, if he ever decides to visit, we could be like, hey, what do you know about Project Iceworm? And just to see what his face does.
Right. Well, on some of those things, once somebody... the secrecy, I don't know. There's some that are never supposed to talk about it. Some have a time limit. I don't know. Usually it's after somebody dies that certain things can be disclosed. But seriously, on some of these things, the people that are doing things that are nefarious, they want the disclosure to happen usually after their death, to where they cannot be held accountable for what they've done.
Oh, they can still be held accountable.
Well, yeah, God will hold them accountable, but they don't. Most of these people, they don't believe in God.
But God believes in that.
Well, yeah. But the thought of being under, I mean, that these tunnels could collapse, and that they've got not just one nuclear launch
I wonder if
pod,
they're still
whatever.
trying to get those. I wonder if it's still down there.
The missile sites?
Yeah.
Yes, but as far as the nuclear weapons, no. But there is nuclear waste.
Yeah, that's really wonderful for the environment.
That was just a clusterfuck from the get-go. Now, somebody did not think ahead.
No. You're dumb. They dumb.
Well,
dumb fuck.
That's just like that one congressman that time. There was some kind of island nation, and they had something that happened, and his concern, now this man was an elected official, and he actually said this, that if the people all of them moved to one side of the island, that it would tip over.
I wonder what people thought of him after that. Seriously, the majority.
I don't know. But I'm like, oh God, there needs to be an IQ test on some of these things.
You do not know how this shit works now, do you, you dumbass?
Well, that's the reason we have some of our areas the way that they are in our nation.
Or maybe he knew that it wouldn't do that, and he was just like, okay, maybe these people are stupid enough to believe this. And sure, there are some people that are.
It was both. That's horrifying, too. That's right there with the ice tunnels. So, anyhow.
Yes.
So with the snow and the forecast and stuff, we will do about Antarctica tomorrow.
Yes.
Barring unforeseen, because our world has a tremendous amount of damnable unforeseen. So, if you've had encounters with supernatural, paranormal, he's distracted me.
I'm sleeping.
Experiences with
It's been a day.
UFOs, aliens, cryptids, yetis, idiots in government. If you've got local, regional,
People
family
stealing your sleep hours.
myths, legends, encounters with substances and experiences with those. I always like that. I really Green Jay one that sort of changed my world when he told about that DMT experiment. That was cool. That one was what, months and months ago. So you'll have to look for that in previous cups. But it was amazing. So you can send us an email, cupofcoffeewithscream
At gmail.com.
at gmail.com. You got it. And if you just need to know that somebody gives a damn that you're on the planet, send us an email. We'll email you back.
And if you want to inbox us about Snuffy Boy, like, you feel free to
You're
do
not
so.
giving away the cat. You're not giving away the
We'll
cat.
see.
He's doing much better.
He is doing much better.
So, anyhow, maybe he's healing. Let's hope. That's the...
He's much more friendlier than
That
he used
is
to be,
the mission statement, is to get Snuffy Boy healed.
Now that we got him tamed.
Oh, that took months and months.
It took about a year.
Yeah. Has it been that long?
Yes.
God, time has just gone by, hasn't
If
it?
not a little bit more.
So,
Because he hasn't been like this for that long.
yeah. Anyhow, time marches on.
Don't forget to like, share, and most of all, comment and subscribe.
And we'll see you on the next cup.
Yeah.
And now Snuffy Boy starts acting up.
Yeah, we'll leave it on that.
You all have a beautiful, blessed day. Bye.